One of my favorite things about Suda51 as a director is his total fearlessness. For over a decade, time and time again, he had the chance to sell out, and instead he doubled down on his idiosyncrasies. As he became more aware of a worldwide audience, he made some concessions, but his tenure is one of the most baffling upper trajectories I've ever seen. This fearlessness bleeds into his games, too. As a writer, Suda is a laser focused on themes. A lot of his works have dizzyingly complex plots, but that's the bait. Thematics are the hook. As the plots inevitably descend into incomprehensibility, the game's finales make the underlying thesis statement clearer, and the ending is almost always a complete piss take. The theme's been stated, the characters reach some form of catharsis, what the hell are you still here for? Answers? His focus on these themes bleeds into the gameplay as well. A favorite trick of his is torpedoing parts of his games in order to make a statement, and sometimes I approve of that. And sometimes I have very complex feelings about it. No More Heroes marked Suda's last hurrah in the director's seat for almost a decade, and serves as a turning point for his career and mindset. Going from visual novel, walking simulator, survival, horror, rail shooter, to an open-world beat-em-up action game with light RPG elements. Emphasis on open world, by the way.
In the E3, a year before Killer 7 was sold, I was told by Shinji to go to E3, look at all the games that are shown there, and report back to me what kind of games are popular in the United States now. What I saw was that free running was very popular, but Killer 7 didn't seem like a game that would be mainstream in America.
It feels like a clear concession for marketability, and that shift from director to producer is markedly felt in Grasshopper's future output. Suda is also really hammering into the mechanical gimmicks of his platformer's choice, and his childlike love of the Wii's waggle honestly carries half the entertainment value of any mechanical interaction in the game, whether it be caricaturing curls or suplexing someone into the Shadow Realm. The kinesthetics are one of the biggest benisons of the game's brutal bouts. It's hard to say if the combat's a step up or a step down from Suda's prior games, and it's the first one to have remotely standard action gameplay, and as such there's actually something else to concretely compare it to. It's alright. There's a lot worse he could do with. Some of the fights and enemies feel more annoying than they do interestingly challenging, but suplexing people doesn't get old, and even if the beam katana clashes fuck up my wrists a lot, it's hard to get too mad at them when they're so hype. I'm aware that the intro sounds like I'm saying Suda sold out with No More Heroes, but I don't see it that way. To me, No More Heroes is managing to stay true to his punk ethos while sneaking into as many eyes and ears as it could. It's easily Suda's most comprehensible game on a plot level, deciding to discard the ludicrously complex narratives of his prior outings and instead go for an extremely understandable structure that's somewhere between Branded to Kill and an arcade game. Explaining the dynamics of Elbow, the Yakumo, and whatever the fuck is happening in correctness takes a galaxy brain, but anybody can grok killing the guy who has a better number than you. He also makes the themes much more apparent earlier on. Travis's monologue in the first boss fight is pretty much directly stating the central theme of the game and the mindset Travis struggles with throughout its events, and that serves to throw the game's plot in much sharper relief. Despite this, it's also Suda's most personal game to that point, only topped by his return to the series some 12 years later. And the central theme of chasing a potentially illusory paradise through hard work that potentially won't pay off in any way but self-actualization and vague catharsis has a reasonably nuanced thesis statement compared to Kill the Past. Despite being wordy when I describe it, his message is something that I think is pretty important to be sent to his target audience, who might relate to Travis's shortcomings more than they'd like to admit. And, most importantly, he didn't lose his edge. That trick I mentioned earlier about self-sabotage is in full force here, and No More Heroes' presentation as a straightforward video game narrative makes his use of it even more ballsy somehow. You expect weird subversive stuff when the game is constantly mocking you, or is this? But when the game acts like it's an arcade game dragged and dropped into a San Andreas knockoff, realizing that it still has a consistent thematic through line makes it hit like a full Nelson. Despite my acting like its themes are Dagger to the Back, Cloaked and other stuff, it's still not quite subtle. Every single time you get a new job, you're straight up told, may you find your true path. The guy at the job center continuously assures you that, while you're third rate as is, you can become something better through grunt work. Working out is how you keep up to pace damage-wise and health-wise, and physically training yourself is also reinforcement of Ryu's dialogue. The world doesn't particularly care about you specifically, but everybody's still rooting for you, even if it's just so that they can get what they want out of you. The grind gates are the least subtle way that the difficulty of finding your true path is underscored, and the one that critics hammered into the most. I've always had a soft spot for them, but I also slip into the same mindset I do when I'm at my actual job. Just unhook the brain a little bit, focus on what's funny, and ignore the dead time as best you can. I also think that the game wouldn't work nearly as well without them, not just on that aforementioned thematic level, but on a literal game level. No More Heroes 2's pacing, being level after level after level, winds up making the shallowness of its mechanics a lot more grating. No More Heroes isn't focused on crafting a statement about capitalism per se, it's focused on finding yourself would happen even in a socialist utopia, but cash being an omnipresent concern works really well. It gives the game level a constant goal and consideration to work towards that rewards skillful play in the battle segments and justifies the open world sections. It grounds Travis' character in the setting very effectively and reinforces the needs to take these odd jobs just to get by, and it also lets Suda do some really wacky bullshit I can't help but love. Who can really get mad at getting paid to play with cats? And as you and Travis alike go on these strange side quests, circling Santa Destroy, that listlessness can even get tamped down as you get lost in the weeds of each task and each goal you set. It's a lot easier to say, oh, I hate this job, but I just need to get to the next beam katana, than it is to just sit down and actually think about where this journey is going. And this is where I feel awkward, but I'm slapping down that spoiler warning. Go here to see where things continue without any other discussion of its ending. You still here? Good. The ending to No More Heroes is true to the soul of the game, and it's where Suda's thematic self-sabotage might be the ballsiest. Travis' character arc throughout the game is understated, slowly suggesting a self-appraisal, slightly shedding cynicism, sincerity shining subtly, but his arc is completely derailed at the end, resting on his laurels after reaching number one assassin, and when Henry arrives, literally summoning the credits because he's not capable of wrapping things up. There's no real other way it could have ended while being true to itself. The central question the game ponders is what paradise even is, let alone if it exists, let alone if it's attainable, let alone if any average schmuck can reach it. To give a concrete answer would undercut the relatability of Travis' quest, mired in the reality of the life of somebody working odd jobs. The real enemy of No More Heroes, I think, is complacency, of stopping what you're doing because you think it's paradise, of getting trapped in your ways and thinking there's nothing you can do to change them. Not every fight directly ties into this theme, but such a good amount do, and I think it's absolutely an intentional recurring theme. Shinobu's quest for vengeance is so single-minded that she mistakes her father's killer for somebody who just watched her dad's moves on VHS. Dr. Peace's gluttonous feasting on blood feels like a vision of a dark future for Travis, entirely abandoning any pretense of caring about anybody else and slaking his id. The tutorial fight is the most direct about this, of course, and Travis' monologue there is what's paralleled in the ending because Travis can't stop living his life. He's made his choices, and that'll affect what he can think and what he can do, but in the end, the future's wide open. It's this interplay of optimism and cynicism that really defines No More Heroes, and the protagonist is one of the best ways to illustrate that. Before Suda entered the gaming industry, he spent his life traveling to Japan with his wife, doing odd jobs and looking for something to spend a life doing. In an interview published the day after its release in Europe, Suda said this about Travis himself: "I want their name to have a certain feel. Travis Touchdown, for example. It's a name that sounds cool to a Japanese audience, but if a Westerner hears it, well, maybe not so much." That's where Travis is in life, really. But just one question later, he adds, "I wish I could live like Travis, react to things the way he does, face something different." Travis doesn't have a lot going on in his life. He lives inside a motel inside of a shithole town, his jobs are grindy chores, and he's so starved for affection that he immediately falls head over heels for Sylvia, despite how obviously she's taking advantage of him. He has a friend at the video store, but other than that one single guy, Travis seems to mostly spend his life watching porn and assembling gunpla. With this, the plot's call to adventure immediately adds a certain air to his quest to become number one. Every step of the way, Travis' source of satisfaction in life takes time, takes money, and takes genuine hard work. No matter how big a part of his life it is, he has to support it through other means. It's not hard for me to find immediate personal resonance in this. The concept of making money doing something I like feels like a pipe dream. The world I live in is empty, and to every step to living a life closer to what I want takes effort that's spent just getting out of bed in the morning and writing these words. I've done over 30 jobs in my lifetime. Some were better than others. Let's leave it at that. We want to include the message in our games that some jobs aren't important, and you may hate them, but if you do them to the best of your ability, it'll turn out well. Better times will come. No More Heroes isn't my favorite Suda game. Hell, it's not even the Suda game that most emotionally wrecked me. That goes to the 25th Ward, but I think it's a Suda game that I need most. It's a Suda game a lot of people need, and I feel like the people who it's trying to level with are the least likely to recognize the place it's coming from. It's so easy to assume something is coming from a place of pure negativity, and a lot of people, myself included, Suda included, self-insert as Travis to a degree. And I won't speak for all of them, but having some distance from myself lets me talk about me to others in ways that I can't, not even my inner monologue. A virgin otaku who fails in almost everything they do, a slob who only works shitty jobs because they're not worth anything more. They live in a shithole. How can people like this stupid asshole? Why do people want good things to happen to this guy? They don't deserve good things. What's there to redeem? They're a scumfuck murderer. And Travis himself grew as a person. He realized his calling, and he ran from his problems only to face them. As he further escaped me, as he further came into his own, I was only then able to look back and see him instead of myself, and then I was able to like him. Suda wrote from a very personal place with Travis, and he wrote just as much from Johnny Knoxville and a host of negative other stereotypes. Blending the two, he created the ultimate Trojan horse, attempting to bring his anarchic vision to a wider world than ever before, secretly talking directly to his target demographic. I just hope they'll listen. Sorry about the audio quality in this part. For whatever reason, filming in my room has more of an echo and worse audio overall than when I recorded in the middle of a field at midnight. Speaking of recording in odd locations, the next video I have planned, I recorded on site somewhere else. The audio's bad enough, I'm probably gonna have to re-record it, but I have like a script written out, I have an intro edited, so that's probably coming along, and I'm probably just gonna upload that intro as a teaser in like a week or two, because I'm pretty proud of it. Thank you so much to Spicy Chicken God for getting the video for this. There's no way I would have been able to replay No More Heroes on the Switch without a capture card, and I didn't want to like get the dolphin bar and stuff set up to replay it on my PC. Absolute hero. You saved my life. Thank you so fucking much. Thank you, gamer. I have a lot of stuff I kind of want to come back to for video editing. I'm gonna give it my best shot to kind of be more consistent again. I have a backlogged account, and I've been posting a lot of like lengthier reviews as well as some shitpostier ones. My No More Heroes video was originally a review I wrote for that site, and my upcoming video is also on that site as a review. I might do that for some other games too, fill them out a little more, make them a little longer, but I don't know. I'll see you next time.